Hello, this is Nathaniel Rigo. Today we're to talk about the top 5 explosive device scenes in pop culture mediums, mostly film. With this being said, let's begin. Number 5, Oppenheimer 2023. Directed by Christopher Nolan, director of the Batman trilogy. The true story-based motion picture experience revolves around the namesake founding father of the world's first A-bomb nuke to have decimated the Japanese cities of Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1945. Directly after another World War II film, Dunkirk 2017, Cillian Murphy, Batman, A Quiet Place, has fit the bill perfectly as the titular role of the astrophysicist J. Oppenheimer, as much as his co-stars have. Another film is to go off with a bang at the box office. Nolan's next film project, based on the terribly true story of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which is now in development. Even the epically enacted explosion on screen in Oppenheimer has captivated us for better or worse. Number 4. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines 2003. If you thought the occasional nuke scenes were horrific in some past Terminator films between Judgment Day 1991 and Genesis 2015, imagine seeing it virtually becoming reality. At the end of the third film in the series, when the deadly computer virus Skynet enacts global genocide of almost mankind entirely via global launched genocidal nukes. Fortunately, Judgment Day is prevented for good amid the events of the fifth film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Batman and Robin, Jingle All the Way, The Expendables. With this, the resulting nuke holocaust across the globe formerly enacted by the Skynet computer virus, which intends in waging war on humanity, is aborted. Number 3, The Avengers 2012. During the Battle of New York City, where the titular heroes Iron Man, the Hulk, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Thor take on Loki's atrocious alien forces, the military attempts to destroy the Big Apple out of unjust attempt to decimate the citywide census in the sacrificial vein, along with the invading illegal off-world immigrants. However, while the Hulk subdues Loki by simply beating him up, the rest of the team foiled the wrongful nuking of New York City by redirecting the warhead right into the alien's high-minded command center off-world through the personal heroics of Iron Man. Number 2, The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Compared to this in another Christopher Nolan film, but from Warner Brothers and DC, the titular character Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, and his GCPD forces take on Bane, Talia al Ghul, and the rest of the League of Shadows over the then unclear fate of Gotham City. Therefore, Talia and her men escort a stolen and repurposed nuke through the streets until they're stopped by Catwoman, Batman, and Gordon after she saves Batman earlier from Bane by fatally opening fire on him by the Batcycle's literal big guns. Despite the heroic efforts, however, Talia's having been fatally wounded in a resulting truck crash remotely overrides the nuke's reactor, prompting Batman to sacrifice himself to save the city from nuclear eradication. The nuke safely goes off over the harbor while clear of the city at the supposed cost of Batman's life. Yet he survives the isolated nuking somehow. It's the final nail in the coffin for the Batman trilogy, completely derived from the mind of Christopher Nolan. Number 1, Jingle All the Way, 1996. It's not much nuking per se, but more of a comedic moment in film history. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad compete for an almost impossible-to-get action figure of Turbo Man on Christmas Eve in this precise holiday comedy film for the entire family. My favourite part of this film, to be exact, is the radio station scene where Myron Sinbad uses a homemade explosive device disguised as a supposedly innocent package, which shortly after turned out to be a harmless music box. He and Howard Arnold attempt to evacuate the building despite it being swarming with the cops earlier alerted by the radio host amid misinterpreted circumstances. At this point, Myron threatens the present pigs with a so-called Fox homemade explosive device. By the time he and Howard flee the building unscathed, though, it turned out to be the real deal when the main police officer Jones blindly mistakes the bomb for a harmless Christmas package despite his decade-long experience with the local bomb squad, equating to 10 years straight. So it literally explodes right in his face, to Howard and Myron's shock and disbelief.
Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
Thanks for stopping by. Hello, this is Nathaniel Rigo. Today we're to discuss the top 5 deadliest bears to ever come against. Whether it's rarely aggressive pandas or man-eating sun bears, these types of animals in particular are more than you can bear. So here are the top 5 deadliest bears to contend with. Bear to heed this. Number 5, black bears. If you've seen the hit 2023 horror comedy thriller Coke Bear, in which a black bear has gotten dangerously high on coke in the 1970s, ironically inspired by a true story, you're not to be barely mistaken. While black bears don't usually feed on coke much often, they are able to slaughter average humans whether for nourishment, self-defense, or predatory dominance, especially of their young. About 52% of black bear attacks are defensive, 33% are nourishment, motivated, and most impressively, 50 to 80% are predatory. Since 1784, black bear attacks have persisted in mutilating 66 humans fatally every year. You could not bear to watch this unfold foully. Number 4. Sun bears. Domestically native to Asia and South America, including Bangladesh, Peru, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, sun bears appear small in comparison to the earlier mentioned black bear, but they're capable of brutally burying their teeth into human flesh, bone, and tissue whenever provoked or crushed unwisely, despite being omnivores as in they consume insects, leaves, meat, and plants all alike. Sun bears remain highly territorial even around their young. By tearing through human flesh with their said terrible teeth, sun bears have either severely wounded humans or fatally grazed them directly on sight. In fact, between 2000 and 2010, 33 human fatalities by sun bears have been enacted atrociously in nature. Son of a bear! Number 3. Sloth bears. Living in Asia natively, sloth bears are capable of using their long lips-like snouts to suck out ants from even the largest anthill. However, as they're extremely dominant around their territory and their young, sloth bears are considered one of the deadliest animals in Asia, especially India. Every year they massacre humans out of self-defense and or territorial dominance predatorily. It could even ensue should it get between a mother sloth bear and her cubs. Unbelievable! Number 2. Polar bears. Next to pandas in China, polar bears that yet reside only in the Arctic rarely are dangerous to humans, although they're still quite capable of mass murdering humans directly on sight whenever possible. They also feed on leopard seals, belugas, narwhals, small birds like penguins, and or white Arctic foxes. Between 1870 and 2014, polar bears defensively and predatorily have eradicated 20 people, equating atrociously to 33 fatal attacks by their killer kin. The last fatal attack on humans by polar bears was in Point Lay, Alaska, as of 1990 in the United States alone. Thus, polar bears are also native to Alaska. Number 1. Grizzly bears, also known as grizzlies. These types of atrocious bears are as cold-blooded and territorially dominant as other bloodthirsty bears on the list. Even they're highly protective around their young, prompting them to butcher any human that tries to unwisely cross them. Have you not seen the 2007 non-theaters animal horror thriller Grizzly Rage? In fact, as of July 21st, 2024, in Montana, a 72-year-old man was gravely wounded by a dreaded grizzly right before opening fire on it fatally with a pistol, yet endured regardless of his life-threatening injuries. Although grizzlies are the number 1 deadly species of bear on the list is as heavily endangered, just as other bear species are worldwide, including pandas and polar bears. What bearable information! Thanks for stopping by. Hello, this is Nathaniel Rigo. Today we're to talk about the top 5 genius filmmakers of all time. There are indefinitely a lot of iconic filmmakers in the world. Some of those whose projects yet have failed at the annual box office. So here are the top 5 genius filmmakers in the world per film. Number 5. Roland Emmerich, Moonfall 2022. From Independence Day to Godzilla to The Patriot, German director Roland Emmerich has surely impacted the world with his various forms of cinema creativity, even despite some of its film's minor setbacks. Born in Stuttgart, Germany, as of November 10, 1955, Roland has first kick-started his filmmaking career with the 1984 sci-fi film Noah's Ark Project, and ever since then, he's gone on to creating most notably iconic films to this day. Moonfall 2022 remains no exception, mainly starring Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson as 2 or 3 protagonist characters determined to save both mankind and the moon that's actually out of orbit and threatening to collide with Earth devastatedly. Regardless of its minor flaws, the film has ceased to disappoint whatsoever thanks to the genius filmmaking of Roland Emmerich. Currently, a titular attraction is in the works for Universal Studios to anticipately replace the current Men in Black ride with. Boomnificent! Number 4. Steven Spielberg, Ready Player One, 2018. Between Jaws 1975 and West Side Story 2021, Steven Spielberg's most iconic film he's ever created is a hit 2018 film adaptation of the iconic sci-fi novel, Ready Player One, which combines endless IP crossovers of pop culture mediums like film, gaming, and or TV, homaging nostalgia of the 70s through 90s and beyond, and a realist story about a homebound young man named Wade and his VR gaming world alter ego Ayak up against the evilly corrupt organization in both the real world and the said VR gaming world of the Oasis. One of the main positive messages in Ready Player One is interacting with others, whether online or in reality. Number 3, James Cameron Avatar Way of Water 2022. Better than the first film in the Avatar franchise in 2009 is its hit 2022 sequel Avatar Way of Water, set 5 years following the original racial war between the Na'vi aliens and the xenophobic alien racist RDA for dominance over their homeworld of Pandora. While Cameron has directed other hit film titles including Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Titanic, he has really reformed himself with the second film in the Avatar franchise, whereas the first film slightly received controversial backlash such as alien racism, genocidal xenophobic bias, off-world environmental decimation, and other serious issues throughout. Water cinematic experience. Number 2, Ridley Scott Napoleon 2023. Another filmmaking genius, Ridley Scott has definitely outdone himself over the years. Between sci-fi, horror, and history, Scott remains one of the most iconic directors in filmmaking history. His most promising film to have ever become successful at the 2023 box office is Napoleon, mainly starring Joaquin Phoenix as the titular character of its same name, and even this has combined historical accuracies with fictionalization in cinema. All the more reason that they should do other future historical villain biopics like Adolf. Number 1, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer 2023. Another hit 2023 biopic, but it's set during and after the Second World War in its final years, 1940 through 1945, in which case Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, the Brit genius filmmaking mind behind the Batman trilogy, had really detonated at the 2023 box office with his first World War II film since Dunkirk, focusing on the true story of the A weapons founding father J. Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, and what led to the weapons resulting creation and use in the bombing of Japanese cities Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Currently, Nolan's developing and working on another biopic, but this time it's on the terribly true story of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. Thanks for stopping by.